Hi. There is now a growing number of people of African descent who refer to his story as his story. And they do so because, in truth, that is what it really is. Now, for so long, the world has regarded his story as being factually true, that if we now try to tell our story, we run the risk of being considered to be seriously deluded, or perhaps even worse, to be downright liars. Unless, of course, we can produce irrefutable evidence to prove what we are saying. And even then, some still refuse to face the facts. But you know, no truth can remain hidden forever. And over the past 50 years or so, dedicated individuals have been scratching away at the surface. So come, let us take a little peek at some of the many things that have now come to light. And let us look in particular at the work of one man.
This civilization occurs in the Gulf Coast of Mexico. When we speak of Mexico, however, you must get it very clear in your mind that we're not speaking of the shrunken Mexico of today. We speak of Mexico when it was the very core and heartland of Native American civilizations, a Mexico that included parts of Colorado, parts of Texas, parts of California, going right up to La Plata in Canada. This civilization known as Olmec was to touch all other civilizations in America, the Maya, the Toltec, the Aztec, etc. It was even to stretch right out into South America. What is very unusual about this civilization was that not only was it the mother of American civilizations, but it contained elements that were not just native to America, but was a fusion between the Native American and people coming from outside. The most significant of those outsiders were the Africans.
At the beginning of this museum, I was made the information about from the picture, from where they got at the face. Then when we was passing in the other house, you saw those pictures when they found the faces. This is one of the face more beautiful. You can see the lips, the nose, the eyes. This is completely negroid face, and the weight of this face is 25 tons. We're wondering how they carry in that time, from where they carry these rocks, because it's solid. This head they bring from 134 kilometers far from here. Yes.
Was that stone quarried where they found it? Or how far did they have to bring the quarried stone?
They say from 100 kilometers far. It is one solid piece. From 25 tons.
What is the relationship between this head and the African presence in the New World?
Well, they showing it to you the exactly origin, Negroid, the basic origin for these peoples.
Why do you think they would carve a Negroid head? What would be the significance of that?
To show when these people was arrived to this continent. They tried to demonstrate when they arrived to America. And that was before Christ. About 1200 years BC was the time when they made these faces.
Were these heads looked at as gods, as priests?
Priest,
They were priests.
priest.
So then the African present here was one of priesthood or what?
Priest,
It was one of priesthood.
yes.
Are there any other heads this size for the other races of people?
No, this is the most principal.
Dr. Van Sertiman, can you make a comment on this? I was asking him the significance of this in terms of the importance in the society of these heads, and he was saying that these were represented priest class.
Yes, this is the priest king class, because it would appear that these people were among the ruling elite of the Olmec. And these heads were revered. In fact, on one of them you have a flat top and you have an altar where people worshipped. And there is another one in which you have a sort of eustachian tube that runs from the ear through the mouth so that the priest could stand at the back of the head and talk to the people. It was a kind of oracular thing, you know, a sort of oracle. This is one of the great heads. Pay close attention to everything that is said tonight, and that you should prepare yourself to ask questions about the many troubling problems that beset prehistoric America. It is not really prehistoric, it is merely pre-Spanish, but anything that is pre-European is considered to be prehistoric. It is the really critical missing pages of history, both for America and for Africa. And what I want to do tonight, apart from touching on what we have seen within the last day or two at Mitla and at Monte Alban, what I would like to do is to go on to make a summary of what we have achieved, what we have seen, what we have witnessed in the last week in Mexico. We began in von Wuthenau's studio. Make no mistake, there is no studio in the world where you will find such a collection of African physical types in ancient America. Many of you have not had the opportunity to examine closely at leisure all the pieces in that collection. It is a priceless collection, and many of you have raised the question which must be pursued: what will happen when von Wuthenau, who is now 84, dies? What will happen to a collection which is of tremendous significance for us, blacks throughout the third world? Because the likelihood is, as has happened in previous centuries, the likelihood is that all of these marvelous pieces which we have seen, and which we have not yet had time to photograph completely and to preserve, may disappear. Von Wuthenau has, in addition to these little sculptures, he has a catalogue of everything he has. Brilliant photographs taken by several professionals over the years.
This is a figure made that is between the Olmecan period and the Totonacan period, transition period. And this is an Olmec sculpture, and to be black, they covered it with tar. You see, it's a stone head, but it's covered with this tar. So not only the features and the thick lips come out primitive, but it is made black. This piece was put on the cover of Revista in Mexico in March, and shows you that another colossal Olmec head was found in Mexico, which has not been, in my opinion, I don't know where it is, it's never exhibited. I wonder if they really have excavated it. Of course, you see these, there is the item that the people in Tabasco, is one of the provinces here, I mean one of the states, the state just as Louisiana is a state. And the people in Tabasco don't want it to disappear from their place to Mexico City. And there are frictions between the Instituto de Antropología and the state, you see. And that's why I don't know if they've done in the state something about it. In any case, it has not been shown up here in Mexico City.
Now it is as early as 1858 that Mexicans became aware of these sites. Remember that just like in Egypt, a great civilization flourished and then died, and then people forgot all about it. The pyramids lay under the sand, the Sphinx lay under the sand. Some things stood there like enigmatic witnesses of a glorious past. But many people continued to live for centuries without recovering the majesty of that civilization, without being able to go back to their roots. This is what happened in many of the great cities of the Americas. That for a long time, for centuries, a shadow fell upon this world. Something very unusual seemed to happen somewhere around AD 900. Some people put it slightly later, but something very unusual happened in America. It may have been some kind of cataclysm, it may have been an epidemic, it may have been the upheaval, some revolution in which the elite was overthrown and many of the marvelous statues and many of the marvelous platforms were abandoned. We do not know exactly what happened. It was suggested by Victor Damas at Palenque that there was an epidemic of cholera and that could account for the disappearance of people. And that may be a plausible explanation for the disappearance of some of the people from the Mayan sites. But when we come to the Olmec morning, which I want to dwell upon because it affects everything, when Michael Coe and others speak of the Olmec as the mother of American civilization, they are really stating the whole thing in a sentence. It really is. Because in the Olmec morning, on that great platform at La Venta, we find quite a number of things that is to affect the civilization centuries afterwards. But let me come back to 1858. 1858 was the discovery at Tres Zapotes of a stone head. Now this is the stone head. This is the first head to be discovered. Now look closely at this head. When the Mexicans saw this head, when their scholars saw this head, scholars like Orozco Ibarra, Jose Melgar, etc., they were absolutely convinced that there were Africans in America at some ancient time. Why were they convinced? They were convinced by two things. By the African physiognomy, the dome of the forehead, the cut of the nose, the jaw, the mouth, etc., but also by something which has never been mentioned in the archaeology for some odd reason. And that is, at the back of the stone head, there was hair, detailed Ethiopian type hair. No Native American has hair like that. People had to find explanations for things they found embarrassing. It is similar to the discovery of the great civilization of Ta-Seti, the kingdom rather of Ta-Seti in the Nile Valley, which precedes the Egyptian. The man who found the Ta-Seti, Keith Seal, never said a word about it. He died without saying anything. And it was left to Bruce Williams, who many of us will hear in Atlanta in September. It was left to Bruce Williams, his student, to take it out to the back rooms of the University of Chicago Oriental Institute and present it to the world. It is absolutely important for us to take a very serious view of this, because we find again and again and again that you have a deliberate effort to wipe out the evidence, to hide it, to explain it away. Why is it that this photograph, even now, I am not permitted to use that until 1985, because it involves a whole series of things. But why is it that this head is not among the heads at Villa Hermosa, is not among the heads in the National Geographic or the Smithsonian or any traveling circus of Olmec heads? It is hidden at Tuxtla where nobody goes.
Mix up a whole heap of bed up, and happy straighten out. Christy Paco is a jam blasted lion. Christy Paco.
According to Nahum chapter 3 and verse 9, he says that the people from Ethiopia and Egypt had a power that was boundless, limitless, without limit. And that was written in 714 BC, right around the same time that Isaiah 18 was written. So what we're dealing with here is that we're dealing with a group of people, black people from beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, that were basically presidents of the planet, if you will. People who were in world domination. Of human beings, if you will, viewed as animals, viewed as tools to build the dreams of the Europeans, of people with clear aphoid features, nose, profile, and it was just incontrovertible. The facts, the reality that black people had designed this civilization. So on one hand, slave trade. On the other hand, we have the tremendous civilization that black people had created.
There was a definite crisis of the conscience because there were white brothers really intensely fighting this thing called slavery, and they were pushing for the liberation of the black man, condemning the trade itself and freeing slaves in America, and they were torn. And so you can see where the impetus and the need to formulate rationalizations for this developed.
What to do? What are the anthropologists and archaeologists going to do in dealing with this information? And that is what I believe, what sponsored, maybe consciously in some cases, unconsciously in other cases, what we could call the cover-up. The cover-up of the accomplishments of black people.
Ignore. Just refuse to publish any facts of African history that don't go along with our racial theories.
We need to create a religious and a scientific doctrine so that African slavery won't appear that bad after all.
What we need to do is flood the world with new African histories that contain our European perspectives only.
Start renaming people and places. Replace African names with Arabic, European names. This will disguise their true black identity.
Let's change the criteria for defining race. For example, 1 drop of Negro blood in America makes you a Negro, no matter how light the skin.
Yes, when reporting ancient African history, reverse the standard. No matter how dark the skin, woolly the hair, or thick the lips, you don't have to be a Negro.
When black contribution to civilization is too obvious, let's find a way to attribute it to outside white influences.
When all the ancient historians contradict your theory, we'll just discredit them.
Talk about the rewriting of history. We have to set that in the context that we're talking about during the 1800s is when this started. We're not really talking about contemporary scholars primarily when dealing with this subject. You could not go from Egypt being a Negro civilization to being a white civilization without rewriting it.
In 1986, I was privileged to hear Dr. Van Sertima speak at the Camden Town Hall in the UK in a conference on the African origin of civilization. The other speakers at the conference were two very eminent African scholars, the late Professor Cheikh Anta Diop, who was an anthropologist, physicist, and historian, along with the Cuban ethnologist and political scientist, Dr. Carlos Moore. At this conference nearly 25 years ago, Dr. Van Sertima gave two lectures. One was on the subject of the African presence in America before Columbus, and the other was on Blacks in Science, Ancient and Modern. On this second subject, he mentioned, among other things, that American Africans are major contributors to America's space research, and that the first space shuttle mission was coordinated by a Black American. On another occasion, he was speaking on the same subject, and he made a very poignant comment that I want to now leave you with. And remember, there is now a whole new world of information regarding African history. So seek, find, and if all this information is new to you, then prepare yourself to be amazed.
In telecommunications now, the most advanced thing, the most sophisticated thing is glass fiber light guides. Several blacks are involved in that. I have met them at Bell Labs in New Jersey. The man who actually taught us, who understood the mathematics that could teach us how to take a 4-foot rod of glass and stretch it for 6 miles is a black man, Northover. The man who developed the laser alarm that could tell us when it twists and is likely to break, and who could show us how to regenerate it, is a black man. The man who went down into the ocean and laid the glass fiber cables on the ocean and wrote the first book on how to lay glass fiber submarine cables is a black man. So the point I was trying to make is that I'm not now making a case for the space program as such. The point I'm trying to make is that blacks, it's not only that we have lost a sense of what we did, but we have no sense of even what we're doing now.
There are many stories, both old and new. What is true? What is true? What is true? There are many stories that make them old and make them new. What is true, yo? What's true? What's true? What's true? Christopher Columbus discovered who? If their leader is closer to God, who is for who? And are they doing the right thing? For who? For who? For who? Yeah. There are many stories, both old and new. What is true? What is true? Someone tell the children, yeah. 'Cause there are many stories that make them old, that make them new. What's true? What's true? What's true? What's true? So men say they're doing their best, still putting people on the line. They say we're living in their time. Not true, not true, y'all, not true. Now there are many stories, both old and new. What? What is true? Someone tell the children, please, yeah. 'Cause there are many stories that make them old, that make them new. What's true? What's true? What's true? What's true? Did you know the name of the slave ship? Save me, Lord. It carried us through and through. Oh, did you know they changed things? But they can't change. They just can't change me or you, yeah. 'Cause there are many stories, they're both old and new. What is true, y'all? True, true. What is true? Come on, open your eyes now, yeah. 'Cause there are many stories, that build them old, that build them new. What's true? 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 What's true?